Hi, Elaine here from markergeek.com. I'm filling in for Sandy again today over on the Stamping Bella blog for Design Team Thursday. Today I'm recreating her spring card tutorial. I'll have the link to her original post with step-by-step instructions down in the description below. First off, to start with, I've grabbed a piece of white cardstock and trimmed it as per Sandy's instructions down to 10.5 inches by 5.25 inches, which Sandy said to fold into a 5.25 inch square. I used a scoreboard. Do whichever you prefer. Basically, you want to end up with a 5.25 inch square card. Then you need to open it up and fold 1/2 in half again towards the center score line. When that is done, you need to flip the card over, grab the top right corner, pull it down and over until the upper edge is even with the leftmost score line. And then you want to crease this well with your bone folder. And here's the part that took me a couple of tries to get right. I had to practice. You need to turn the card 180 degrees and repeat for the other side so that it should look like this when you open it up. I'm just creasing it with the bone folder, and then when I open it up, this is what yours should look like. And then you'll need to grab a ruler and on the bottom measure 2 5/8 inches to the center and mark with a pencil. Then using your ruler, draw a line from that point on either side to the end of the score marks on the left and right hand sides. When that is done, grab a pair of scissors and cut along each pencil line and then discard the offcuts. When that is done, you can fold your card and it should look, once, like me, you remember to fold the base in as well, it should come together and look like this. You can see I haven't remembered to fold that bottom piece in, so I'm wondering why it doesn't look right. There you go, I figured it out. Genius. So there it is, all ready to be decorated. And for decorating, you need to cut 3 pieces of white card to create the panels. One cut at 2.5 inches square, which you will then cut diagonally in half to make 2 triangles. Then you need a 3.5 inch square panel and a rectangular panel of 5 1/8 inch by 2.5 inches. I'm using a 250 GSM cardstock from Paper Mill Direct here in the UK. It's the cardstock that I tend to use for my card bases. It's a nice weight. It's a nice sturdy cardstock. It works well for this. When your white panels are cut, it's time to cut the pattern paper. I'm using a really old sheet of paper that I had from Magnolia Stamps years ago that I've been hoarding. First, you'll need to cut a 2 3/8 inch square, which you'll then cut diagonally in the center to make 2 triangles. Then you need 1 3 3/8 inch square. And then this is where I got a little confused. I think there was a typo in Sandy's original instructions. You then need a rectangle of 5 inches by 2 3/8 inch. Then you just adhere the patterned paper to the white panels. I am using my favourite liquid glue, which is Beacon Adhesives Fabri-Tac glue for all of the gluing on this card. You could use whatever you prefer. When all of the panels are glued together, it's time to apply them to the card base. So unfold the card like so, and then just fit the panels in. Obviously the square one goes in that nice square at the top diagonally. And then the two triangles go in the triangles which will be visible when it's folded. And then the rectangle goes on that panel at the bottom for the base. Again, I'm using the Fabri-Tac glue. As I may have mentioned in previous videos, I tend to use the Fabri-Tac glue or a liquid glue in general, just because I like to eyeball where things are going and then kind of fiddle around with them. And the open time on a liquid glue kind of allows me to slide things around a little bit. Now this is the point in the tutorial where Sandy says to go ahead and stamp your image and get all of that done and do the die cutting. I've already done that. As I mentioned before, that's in my Marker Geek Monday video, which I will link in the description below. So I already have my image all prepared, which I'm going to die cut a second layer for. I die cut the image with a stitch circle die from Lawn Fawn. So I cut a second circle die cut and glued those together to create a sturdier element, which you can see me doing here. Then before applying it to the card base, because unlike Sandy, I'm not so great with the embellished cards. I'm not great at creating detailed cards with lots of die cuts and embellishments. So I decided to keep this fairly clean and simple, which is the style I tend to gravitate towards. So I just grabbed a pot of distress paint in Picket Fence, which is the white, and I'm just adding a little bit of extra interest to the edges of my die cut image. I'm just tapping it on there at the moment, and then you'll see that I actually pop it down on a piece of paper in a second and tap more of the paint onto it just to get a little bit more of an interesting effect. It didn't work quite as well sort of holding it up. I was trying to be fairly cautious and not get too much paint everywhere. But then I decided to go for it, and it created a much better effect this way. And when I'm done with that, I let it dry. I resisted the temptation to use my heat gun because I didn't want to create any warping of that die cut layer. And then when that was all dry, I used my liquid adhesive and popped it on that front panel of the card. And after doing that, I then followed Sandy's tutorial again and grabbed some double-sided tape and applied that, as you can see, on that triangle underneath the card front, so that then adheres that down to the base, so that only the sides and the front panel pop up and the card should stand nicely. Then I grabbed a sentiment from the birthday sentiment set from Stamping Bella that says birthday hugs. I stamped that off camera on a piece of the white cardstock using VersaFine Onyx Black ink. I then cut that apart so that I could arrange it on either side of my image on my card base. I thought that was kind of cute. I thought it went well with the image. And that is the card all finished. Obviously, you could go ahead and be a little bit more brave with the embellishments like Sandy, if that's your style. But that's it from me. All of the links to everything will be in the description below. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please do like and subscribe, and I will catch you next time.